I used to just use Wine by itself, bare bones, but it seems like the latest version of Wine that's being pushed to us on Manjaro or other Arch-based systems is the 1.7 development release, and I found it has a number of regressions. So I'm going to show you how I manage my wine bottles using PlayOnLinux, and we're going to do that right now on Spatry's Cup of Linux. Okay, let's get started. Now, on Manjaro, you do not get PlayOnLinux installed by default, but it's very easy to install. Just run sudo pacman -S PlayOnLinux. You'll see that it already is installed on my system. It went through the process of reinstalling it. No biggie. Okay. Alright, so in your menu you should have a link to it. I put it in my shortcuts because I want to have a quick and easy access to it. And then I'm going to I'm going to actually move this out of the way because I'm going to be doing some demonstrations where, I'm going to be making shortcuts. Now, I also have a drop-down menu where I have quick access to many of my applications in Wine so that I do not have to actually open this application. And so this comes in very handy when I'm ready to, do things like that, because pretty much I'm using applications in Wine every single day. And for good reason. I purchased old software that I'm still getting very good use out of today. I have some programs that are 7 years old that wouldn't even run very well on Windows 7 or Windows 8. And they run perfectly in Wine, extending the life of the software that I paid for, especially in a world where everything is based on planned obsolescence, it seems. Even software, you're lucky to get 1 or 2 years of use out of it, and Linux breaks that barrier for us. All right, so first, let's go ahead and go into Configure here. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a new virtual appliance. Now, you're going to see I have one here titled Arcade, and this is where I would normally install my games. Presently, I only have one installed, and that is the Wing Commander Saga game. And if you guys haven't tried it, it runs beautifully in Wine. There is a tutorial, though, on showing you how to get the launcher and everything working. You'll have to search online for that. Google is your friend. But they do have instructions on the forum for getting this set up. You'll also see that I have a developer machine, and this is where I run my desktop applications, such as Flash and all the applications that I have that pretty much go with it. To get things started here, for the type of applications that I'm going to want to run, I'm going to go ahead and press New. We're going to have a virtual drive creator here. We're going to select Next. You have a choice of 32-bit Windows or 64-bit Windows. I'm going to choose 64-bit Windows because I found that my applications seem to run better on this than if I were to install a 32-bit. For some reason, Dreamweaver, Fireworks, and Flash did not want to work for me on a 32-bit, even though these are 32-bit programs. So I figured, all right, I'll try 64-bit. Never had a problem since. So all of my virtual machines where I have applications installed are running as 64-bit machines, and it's not complaining at all. I'm going to press Next, and I'm going to choose the name of the drive. We're going to call it 64-bit. And you will see that 64-bit is being made here, and it's showing the number 64 on the virtual drive. And then the Wine configuration is going through the process of being updated. It's going to ask you if you want to install Wine Mono and a bunch of other things at some point. Okay, now that our virtual drive's created, why don't I go ahead and start shifting and moving stuff around here so that we can see the placement of our windows. So I'm going to put this over here. Okay, now, something of interest is, when you press the install dialog for PlayOnLinux, you're going to get this coming up. And you could use this for installing games and a bunch of other things. I recommend against using this. I tried this before, And for instance, I selected the Dreamweaver setup to install Macromedia Dreamweaver 8. And you know what? It didn't work. So I'd recommend avoiding this if possible, because I prefer doing things in Wine the old school way. So let's go ahead and close that item. And we're gonna do things the harder way, but it's really not all that hard. Now, something to keep in mind, a great resource that is available to you is the Wine HQ website. Okay, and the latest stable release right now is 1.6.2. You can use this little search box here to find the application you want to run, let's say Photoshop. Okay, and you're going to see there are a number of results here for different versions of Photoshop that are available. We've got a link here. All right, and you're going to see that there's some platinum, silver, and bronze for the different versions that are available, such as 5. You know, got 5LE has a platinum. You have different versions available here, and when you click on these links, it will give you instructions on what you're going to need to do to install them, what Wine version was used, and that sort of thing. And you'll see here we've got a gold one for Ubuntu Precise running version 6 of Photoshop. Okay, so they used version 1.6.1. So let's show you how to manage that. Let's go ahead and minimize this here. And what you do is you go into Tools and then Manage Wine Versions. Okay, and you'll see here on my 32-bit I have a version 1.4 here for the 32-bit, and then on the 64-bit I have 1.6. And so all you just do is you pick a number here and then press the arrow, and it will move that version over to this side, and then you can switch between different Wine versions. Personally, I think 1.6 works beautifully, and as far as the 32-bit version, I'm not even using it, so I can actually just click this, click the left arrow, and it will ask me if I want to delete it. Sure, why not? I don't use 32-bit Wine. So that has been removed. It's off the system, freeing up some hard drive space. All right, so now that we've had a look at that, let's go ahead and close this window here. Okay, and you have a number of other tools available to you. You can run local scripts. You can close all PlayOnLinux software. They even have a console, a debugger, and that sort of thing. And that can come in handy when you're troubleshooting. All right. You also have a plugin manager here, and this is a pretty neat feature. This includes the PlayOnLinux Vault. So let's say you set up a wine bottle the way you like. You can actually export this and back it up. That way, if something wonky happens to your wine installation, you can back this up from a file. So that's pretty cool, and I'll cover that a little bit later. Let's cancel this right now. Okay, and let's go ahead and configure our machine. That's this window here. And in 64-bit, you have a number of options here. Okay, now when you are installing a program and you're not using the scripts that they provided that I had shown previously, you'll want to go into Miscellaneous here. And under Miscellaneous, you can open up the drive's virtual directory. By clicking on this, it'll take you to where that virtual drive is, and you can see all of the contents of files listed here. You can also run an exe within this virtual drive. So what I can do is I can go into my downloads folder, right, in my exe file, and then I can run an executable file, and it will load this up for you in the virtual machine. Of course, it's saying that this program has crashed. I don't have any dependencies installed to run this, so let's go ahead and cancel this. But the thing is, this is where installing components is going to come in handy, because you're going to need components installed in order to get some of those applications that you require running. So when we think about the Wine HQ page and we are looking at these results, it may tell you, okay, you need to install .NET Framework. You need VB runtimes. You need a certain DLL. You need a certain file. So when you're reading through this listing, read carefully what it's telling you, and if you followed the instructions and it still doesn't work, look at another result that somebody put up. There's somebody who has a platinum on this program, so show their result and see if they gave you any instructions. Well, this person gave it a platinum and didn't put anything in there. And so that probably means this person, was able to get it working just by running the exe file installed, gave it everything it needed and that sort of thing. I don't have a copy of the software. This is just an example. So this person did not install, just ran PS6 from an existing Windows install, just navigated to see program files, Adobe Photoshop, and then double-click the exe file. So, in other words, they already had an install, and they just ran this from, they just told Wine to go to a Windows partition to run that file. And, hey, cool stuff if you can do that. All right, so there are other options available. There are a lot of people here that have submitted some information here on what they did to get these working. Let's go ahead and minimize this. So you have all these applications here. So let's say you need a DirectX 9. You would install this item. A dialog will come up. You may get a item with a signature warning. This happens to me all the time on the 64-bit versions, but on the 32-bit versions it doesn't. Not sure why that happens, but the thing is, when you press next, you press the I agree button, press next, and it's going to download those files and install them in your virtual machine for you. I'm not going to go through that hassle of doing that right now because I already have machines set up the way I want. Okay, so you would just go through this list and you would pick out the components you want. So you may need .NET 2. You may need the Flash player or an ActiveX control. You might even need Internet Explorer installed because some Windows programs' help system depends on Internet Explorer being installed to display the help dialog. So these are additional things that you may consider that you may be needing. So you would go through the process of installing all of the components you need. And this is before even installing anything in here. You can also go in here and change your display settings for this. I actually left most of these default. Okay, this is your Wine configuration utility here on this tab, and this is where you can configure Wine and you can do a lot of cool things. You could, for instance, under the Configure Wine section here, this is going to take a moment to load up, but once it does, you're going to have a dialog window with which to add themes to this if you wanted to. So you could go on DeviantArt and find some MS styles, and you can make this look closer to your desktop. Let me show you what I mean. I'm going to go into my developer machine here and then click on Configure Wine, and you're going to notice a difference here. I just went and downloaded an MS style from DeviantArt.com, and then I found that I was able to configure my machine, and look at that. This matches my desktop, the colors and everything. I downloaded a theme, and then I actually went in and manually tweaked this in the desktop integration theme. Basically, oh, this doesn't even have a theme. So then what I did was I manually tweaked this myself. But I have had instances where I downloaded themes. So there is no theme. I actually made this myself just by going through all of these little items in the list and selecting the colors and the font sizes and all that stuff that I wanted to give this a look just like my desktop. So you can get Wine to match your desktop when you're running applications. All right, so you have that available to you. You have the registry editor available to you. So if you need to edit any of the virtual drive's registry settings, this is where you do it. This will do a simulated reboot. It'll make it think that the computer has been rebooted. You have the repair virtual drive, a CMD prompt for it, a task manager. You can kill a Wine process that's running, and then you have the Wine uninstaller. Okay, yes, here it is. So this is the program. It looks very similar to the Windows Add Remove Programs dialog. So it's right here, and you'll see WineGecko is already installed in here. All right, we'll go ahead and cancel that. All right. In general here, you have the choice of making a new shortcut from this virtual drive. Now, obviously we don't have anything installed into this, so why don't I pick out the developer one here, and I'll show you that when you make a shortcut from the virtual drive here, it's going to go ahead and pull all the exe files that you have in the system and then allow you to make a shortcut. And it'll put that shortcut on your desktop, and then you can reposition this wherever you want. So if I wanted to have, let me pick a program here. Okay, how about the Macromedia Extension Manager? I'm just going to press Next. Okay, we'll choose that name. That's fine. Okay, and then once this is done, it's going to scan the virtual drive again so you can make more shortcuts. I'm just going to press Cancel. So now I have this here, and we can right-click on this and go into Properties. And when we go into the launcher setting here, you will see this is the command that is used to execute this program. So then if I wanted to put this in my menu, I could easily do that by right-clicking on this item here, going into Properties, and you'll see I have all these applications listed. I don't even have to plus or copy and paste. I can just drag this in here, and now when I press Close on this, you'll see the extension manager is in here, so I can access it. There are other really interesting things that you can do with this. Under Plugins, you have the PlayOnLinux Vault. And from here, using this application, you can you can restore an application or save an application. Now, something to keep in mind. All right, if I choose the extension manager, for instance, and press Next, it is going to save everything in that wine bottle. So, I also had Dreamweaver, Fireworks Flash, Flash to HTML5, Flax, and Swift 3D, all of these programs, okay, and it's telling me that it's going to make a package about the size of 1.9 gigs for all of that, so I can archive that and save it for later use in case I break something in my virtual drive. So you have that available to you. I'm not going to do that because I already have a backup of that. But I just thought that was kind of neat. You can also remove applications from the menu as well. If you wish, it opens up the PlayOnLinux uninstaller. And basically all it just did was remove the application from the menu. It did not actually delete it out of the drive. It's still there, and I'll show you. When I go into Developer here, all right, back into Miscellaneous, or is that General? I'm sorry. Make a new shortcut from this virtual drive. You'll see that extension manager is still there. So when you are uninstalling applications, you will want to use the advanced uninstaller. See, the extension manager file is still here. Under Wine Uninstaller is the program that you would use for uninstalling actual applications in your virtual appliance. All right. Now, if you were to uninstall something with only one item in there, I imagine it would uninstall the entire or remove the entire virtual machine as well. So you got a lot of options available to you. So you got your empty virtual machine here. You can just run that exe in the virtual drive after you've installed all of your dependencies, and then you should be able to get that application running just fine. So at the end of the day, I still highly recommend that you make winehq.org your friend. This will help you getting all of your favorite applications and some games working. Doesn't run everything, but it really does a nice job. And, you know, having these wine bottles in place is really, really handy. And something else I want to show you, because this is really cool, a nice feature that's available when you go into Wine here and you go into Configure Wine, and this loads up. You can tell it which version of Windows you want it to run. So, for instance, right now, I'm running this in Windows 7 mode. But I can change that on, oh, okay, it's showing that I'm running under Windows XP. That's because it's this machine. But I know I have the developer machine running in Windows 7 mode because I tried to install a Windows 7 application in this. And what's really cool is Then you can switch it to Windows. This compatibility Windows version is really good for finicky installers that are detecting which version of Windows you're technically running. But the thing is, because I've had this happen to me several times before, where I would select Windows 7, and then later on I would change the virtual machine to Windows XP, and the program would still run just fine without complaining. I thought that was a really nice touch in that. So just by activating this, it doesn't matter what you have installed in that virtual appliance, you can pretty much change the version of Windows that you're running on the fly. So, if you've got this virtual machine, you try and install an application that says this version requires Windows 7, no problem. Switch it to Windows 7 here, run your installer, switch it back to Windows 8, and your program will probably still run, which is a pretty cool thing indeed. So yeah, definitely any application game you're trying to work on, just a Google search, Wine plus the name of the application. You may find that outside of the WineHQ website, you may find a forum where somebody has mentioned a game or an application that's really popular that people have managed to get working in Linux using the Wine platform. And having PlayOnLinux manage your wine bottles is handy, because whenever Manjaro updates Wine, and we're 1.7.14 or something like that, I lost track of what number it is, I don't have to worry about the Wine updates messing up my programs that I have set up on my system. So PlayOnLinux is very handy for that. But as stated in these install scripts here, I really don't use them because many of them haven't really even worked for me. And so I still prefer just doing it the old-fashioned way, just going into the install components, install these items yourself. And another option is, if you get a failed download on these, and sometimes you might, you can just go ahead and look up on Google the name, whatever it is. So if you need Direct Input 8, you could actually just do a search online where to download the redistributable executable file, download it to your computer, and if it's make sure you check the version though, because if you're running 64-bit Wine, you're going to want the 64-bit installer for that, and then just run that by going into the miscellaneous, run an exe file in this virtual drive, install that dependency, and everything should be just fine. At least that's what I have done, and I found that I've had pretty good success with that. I hope this will help you guys get more mileage out of those old Windows programs you have on the shelf collecting dust since you switched over to Linux. Put those programs back to work. Even if some of those programs won't run on the latest version of Windows, you never know. They may actually work in Wine. Well, that's all I have on this topic. As a reminder, please consider supporting the show hosts who bring you the content you enjoy the most by disabling your ad blockers or shouting some coins. Peace out!